Everybody thinks that tofu is bland and has no flavor, and on its own, you are 100% completely right. But there are some tips and tricks to make tofu delicious. And first and foremost is selecting the correct tofu. What I have right here is extra firm tofu. This is the tofu that I choose to use when I am looking for the main portion of a dish, whatever the main thing that you're eating is. If you're making a sauce, however, you're gonna wanna use your silken tofu. Some people like softer tofu as a part of their diet, and for them, you can use firm tofu. So there's all different types of grades of tofu. I like the extra firm because to me, you can get the most flavor into it and it really has the best bite to it. So other things, always look for organic, non-GMO certification. The rampantness of genetically modified soy is almost universal. So be sure that you are looking to make sure that you've got an organic or a non-GMO product. The first thing that we're gonna do to get this tofu going is to drain all of the excess water. So I just took my knife, opened it up, and now I'm just gonna drain off all this excess water that the tofu has been sitting in. The next step is absolutely critical if you want to have delicious tofu. Clean kitchen towel. Wrap up your tofu in the kitchen towel and then set it aside and allow it to rest. Go ahead and just give it a squeeze. We're attempting to get as much of the water out of this as we can without damaging the structure of the tofu. So don't get crazy or you will end up just pressing it into oblivion. Some people like to set a heavy skillet on top of it. You can put a book on top of it, but now we're gonna wait about 15 to 20 minutes. If you can go a half hour, go a half hour. We're gonna let this rest to get all of this water out of the tofu. Now that our tofu has soaked in our clean towel, we can now unwrap it. Now, as I've said earlier, a lot of people think that tofu is bland, and if you do not season it, you are right, it is very, very bland. But if you season it well, it can be absolutely delicious. So this I'm going to do as a substitute for a meat dish. And so first things first, I'm just going to slice down the center because I'm going to cube this up so that we can now season it. So I'm going to cut across the width of it, and then I am going to cut across the length of it just to form some cubes. And as I said, if you get too assertive, this can happen. So see how I've got crumbly tofu over here? Not ideal, but it is what it is. Don't beat yourself up if your cooking isn't perfect. Nobody's cooking is perfect. So next thing, we have to season this bad boy. All right, so tofu will take on any type of flavor that you want it to. So I'm gonna start with just some salt. Should have brought some pepper over here, but I forgot, and that's okay, because the good thing is I have lots of other seasonings. As I said, you could, I'm going a Mexican direction right now. This is chili powder that I'm placing on this. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit of cayenne, some cumin, we have some coriander, oregano, etc. And so you can go in this Mexican direction if you wanted. In the Clean Slate Cleanse cookbook, you have recipes for some egg substitutes, and so you would put in things more like turmeric and mustard, etc. You also have Japanese inspired and Asian inspired dishes, as well as an Indian inspired dish that is tofu makhni. So I've been cooking for a lot of years and I trust my instincts when it comes to seasonings. But if you're someone who is just brand new, don't be shy to get out some measuring spoons and decide exactly how much that you want to put in. Like I said, I've been doing this for so long that it doesn't scare me to say, okay, I know how much garlic powder, I know how much onion powder I'm gonna want, I'm gonna know how much oregano. So lots of seasonings happening here. I'm now gonna add a couple of drops of oil just to mix this in and create a slurry. And then I'm gonna toss with my hands the tofu until it is very well coated on all sides. And I'm gonna take a smell of this to see if it's got the aroma that I want, and then we can just taste your finger. I mean, taste your food, people. Tastes great to me. I'm actually gonna got it a little bit spicy. So what do you do if you taste it and it's too spicy? Well, what you can do is either add a tiny, tiny, tiny drop of agave or coconut sugar, or go back to your sweeter spices and consider, so I got that a little bit spicy with the cayenne pepper. Coriander is a gentle and easy and sweeter spice. So I'll add a bit of that in here just to balance out that flavor. Give it a little bit of a toss. You can let this marinate for 15-20 minutes, or you can go straight into the skillet. Step 3 in making your tofu delicious is to have patience in the cooking process. So I've got my oil here. It's nice and hot. I can tell by the look of it, the sheen of it, that we've got some heat. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit, and now I am going to drop in my prepared tofu. That's the sound that you want food to make. That is the sound of soon-to-be brown food, and brown food is delicious food. So what I'm going to do now is layer these in one single layer and wait. Okay, now that we have been patient, we have gotten a nice golden brown on all of our tofu. So we're gonna turn this bad boy off, and now we're ready to eat.